Hello, everyone. Welcome to Creativity-Hive's weekly program. This is episode 120. My name is Miriam Haugen. I'm part of the Creativity-Hive team. We help creatives learn to make impactful storytelling videos through one-on-one teaching and live group coaching. And very happy this week to have Eric Addison back with us, sharing a bunch of things about AI and new stuff in Premiere Pro. So let's bring Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hey.
And I'm going to bring Neil on too, since he's the one that the man with all the questions.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know how well I'll do with all of his questions, but I will do my best.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for anybody watching, when they came out with the last, especially the last like 2 or 3 versions of the public beta for the 24.0 something or other public beta, they started adding in more of the what people frequently call AI, artificial intelligence, and it's really better described as machine learning processes. And they really got some of those whipped up in an amazing period of time, and quite a few of them made the cut to get brought into the 24.0 public release when it shipped at the just before Max. And Eric here was at Max, and then Miriam and I left our building of 40 some years occupation, and the reason why you see me in such a fuzzed out situation right now is because I'm down in our family room, which has all of my video production crap thrown all over the room. I mean, the pool table is covered like 3 foot deep with camera gear and lights and everything, and as is the floor. And I don't have any place to put it yet. And it's going to be maybe another 2, 3, 4 months before I do. So I've got this place I can kind of sort of work, but I haven't really had a chance to dive into this, which bums my load immediately and heavily. But Eric went to Max in LA, and he especially focused on some of the classes with a lot of this machine learning stuff. So Eric, what all is the cool stuff we can do with that now?
Well, I think first of all, it was very cool to get to go to Max. I don't get to go to Max that often. And so somebody asked me recently, like, oh, do you go every year? And I thought, well, no, I said, actually, I haven't been since 2016 when it was here in San Diego. So it was really cool to be able to get to go and kind of experience it. And if people are out there who've never been to Adobe Max, it is something to definitely check out once and see how you like it. I mean, after this year, I'm definitely going to try to go back, as often as I can. So, and Adobe's not paying me to say that, but it's just sort of my creativity, persona just really finds a good home there. And it's a really incredible place to be. Especially if you use the Adobe tools. But all that being said, yeah, I did do, I don't know that I took a lot of classes regarding AI, but there definitely, it was hard to get away from AI at Max. And a lot of the products are moving in that direction. And it's incredible how quickly Adobe everybody is moving into that space, and how quickly things are changing. And it wasn't so as much as the tools that we have now that are AI, powered are incredible. The stuff they showed that they're working on was even more incredible to me. It's like, wow, we're going to be, in 3 to 5 years, if they develop and they release some of the tools that they showed, I mean, what we'll be able to do, inside of our apps, is just like unbelievable. Like if you'd have told me 10 years ago that I have this ability to do this, I would have said, no way. But it's all out there, and it's coming. It really is going to be pretty incredible.
Well, of course, one of the things that gets used a lot and talked about a lot is the transcription and text-based editing process. But they've done some things with audio too. And so why don't you give us a précis of the various things that they have now that are available in the standard shipping release for Premiere 2024?
Well, so right now in the shipping version, in 24, the big thing, I don't know that there isn't, the audio tools are that you're probably alluding to, the speech enhancement is still in beta.
Okay.
So that's still there, but the text-based editing that's currently in there is amazing. I mean, I use it now on almost every project that I do. And I mean, it's, I don't like to use like game changing, but it really is. It speeds up my workflow so much in how quickly I'm able to get rough cuts out now and work. And then, one of the things that they've released in the current version, which is the ability to get rid of, pauses in speaking. And then in the beta, which I think, and which will be probably I'm thinking probably the next version out or the version after that, 24.1 or 24.2, I'm guessing, will be removing ums and ahs from people talking, that it can hear all of those. And I think that's in beta now. You can go play with it.
Well, and one of the things that's kind of nifty is Matt Stegner, who is I think he replaced Duran Greaves as head of Audition, which is basically the sound app and the sound inside Premiere, suggested to someone that they was saying, I heard they had this ah replacement, but I haven't, it's not there. And he suggested, well, just take your project into 24 beta and try it. And if it works, fine, because you can have a project, open it in the beta and try out the new things there and just go back to the standard public release on it just fine. It's no problem. And the guy posted back a few minutes later, and it was kind of oh, holy crap, jeepers, what the heck? Man, this is awesome. And because he had like an hour and a half lecture that he was having to transcribe, because he does this for university for all of their online stuff. And this one prof was yeah, you see, if you take this and then you do this, and so the guy'd have an hour and a half lecture, and it would take him 4 hours to cut this thing down to about the 25 or 30 minutes he actually was talking. And he did that, and all of a sudden, bango, he had 30 minutes of thing right off the bat. He was just absolutely thrilled. So yeah, some of these things, go ahead and see if they work in the beta.
Yeah. Well, of course, I'm not an editor really, but when I do edit, what am I mostly doing? I'm trying to cut out all those gaps and ums and ahs from like one of our broadcasts to get something shorter. So that just really appeals to me.
Well, and a lot of my recording these days is actually doing tutorials and presentations, like for mixing light or whatnot. And I have to tell you, I'll be saying something, you realize, I've misspoken, and so yeah, we'll screw that, and I'll go again. Well, if you're having to scrub through and find all those places to cut out, just shoot me now. By the way, I hate doing string outs and rough cuts. I hate it thoroughly. Well, all of a sudden, yeah, you just bring it in, transcribe it, and on ingest, and so yeah, I just go in and immediately do the cut by that. Oh my God, is that nice? It keeps me sane, keeps Miriam alive, and the dog's healthy and happy and everything.
That's always good.
Yes. Well, the thing, and I've mentioned this to the team, the Premiere team, the thing that I want, okay, what you gave us is great, but for 2.0, what I really want is, like right now, you can get that transcript, you can export out a text file, and I usually convert that to a Word doc just because it makes it easier for my corporate clients to interface with that. And then what I ask them is just to sort of strike out the stuff they don't want, and then send it back to me. And then it's easy to build from that. But what I really want is them to be able to make all the edits and then send me back another Word doc, import that Word doc into Premiere, and then it will automatically look at the text in the Word doc, look at the text in the transcription panel, and then boom, make my cut for me right away. I mean, to me, that doesn't seem, that far-fetched being with the tech that's there. I'm sure the programmers would be like, well, that's going to take a little bit of work, but once I have that functionality, oh man.
There are a lot of people requesting that.
Yeah.
And especially when you're doing things that involve, whether it's techno jargon or just something that has some kind of specific language to it, the ability to, to take it out, then correct it and bring that corrected document back in and be able to just have that immediately replace the previous one. That's that's definitely going to make a big difference in making all of this work better.
There was actually, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but going back to the CS4 days, remember when they first had that transcription ability inside of it, and then you had the ability to go in and actually import in a corrected version. I don't remember how it worked, but I know that I had clients sort of correct things for me with like a lot of science jargon and stuff like that. And then somehow you were able to import that in, and then it would sort of realign it and correct all that, and so you were able to do that at one point.
And that was actually up through, I think, CS6. And you could take the transcription and you could go into Story, which was another app that they had that time for, which is basically a script writing app. You could take your transcription into Story, modify it in Story, and then re-import it into Premiere, and it was all fixed.
Yep.
So yeah, we had that with CS6, and then they came out with the first CC version, and it was gone.
Yep. I remember asking somebody about why they pulled it, and the reason I was given was that nobody was using it because the transcription, was so inaccurate that very few people used it. And I said, but it gets it a lot of it gets right if you have a good sounding audio. But I always felt like that. I think it was technology that they sort of sub-rented from someone else, and I think the deal with that ended, and that was and they didn't want to pay for it.
I think that's actually probably the better explanation for it.
Yeah.
Because quite frequently, you've probably had the same thing, because I know you go to NAB a lot and these kinds of things. And there's times when you talk with the engineers on something where they give you a statement and they're looking at you like, okay, this is, and it's something, okay, this is the line that I'm supposed to be saying here now.
Yeah. It's almost like they need to pull out a little sheet of paper that they read the official statement to you, and then kind of give you a wink afterwards.
And you look at it and you're going, yeah, and we both know that's the official line, but occasionally you'll be standing there and you'll get to hear something. Oh, Christine Steele's watching. Oh my God. Hi, Christine.
Hey, Christine.
Yeah. Oh man, anybody out there, if you ever have a chance to take an editing class from Christine Steele, take it. I don't care if you have to fly halfway around the planet. That lady is the fastest freaking editor I have ever seen in operation. And I've watched Yarla work on something. I've watched a number of these other people work on something. Holy Toledo, man, wow, she is amazing.
Okay, yeah. This is a great quote. Premiere Pro had this way before anyone else, and when they took it away, I was only midway through editing a 13-part doc series for PBS. Oh my gosh.
I feel the pain. Oh, I would have been screaming, throwing things at my monitor. Oh my God, I'd have been.
Case in point, why you don't upgrade mid-project.
Yeah. Well, and of course, one of the other changes they did back then that I shouldn't bring up because it just adds time is when they a previous program had decided to kill speed grade, and I made myself rather unpopular with staffers over that which I think was still, in fact, has been shown to have been one of the more stupid things that they have done in their entire CC run. But yeah,
But we digress.
Yeah, but we digress. So back to AI. Let's keep Christine happy. Oh, Christine, by the way, I know was at Max also. So if she wants to kick in here with some comments at any time, she's welcome to, because we can see it on the screen, and that'd be great. But so yeah, we got the text-based editing, and then they've got some oh geez, that audio stuff that they're doing, the enhanced speech thing.
The enhanced speech, yeah, that tool, I will tell you, I've used that. So I started using it when it was on the website, what they call like Adobe Podcast, and you would upload your audio to it, and then it would clean it up, and then you download a file. So that's now included inside of Premiere. And what's great about it now is that you actually have a slider that you can kind of adjust to sort of clean up some audio, and I can actually show that. So we just showed that at the San Diego Premiere Pro user group that I run, but let me load up the beta version of Premiere, and I can quickly kind of show you. Hopefully it's all still here. Let me load that up here. But yeah, that tool, I had a project last year, or it's kind of spanned last year into this year, and it was a corporate project, and we had to do remote interviews with people. And it was all through, not Zoom, but I think we did it through Riverside, I think is what we did. But nobody's audio through these remote interviews was at all good. It was all people just using their laptops with the microphones built into it. And the audio quality was, like I said, crap. But running it through that Adobe Podcast, which is now enhanced speech, it made it sound like they were on a mic. I mean, the client was blown away by how good it sounded, as was I. So yeah, it's that tech is just going to be huge. When you have audio that, for whatever reason, you don't get good audio. My fear is that people are just going to not worry about audio anymore, thinking that you can just apply this and that'll be that. Always get good audio, but for those times when something happens, because I mean, stuff happens on set all the time. Yeah. If your audio just stinks, this is going to be, the thing to have, the tool to use.
Yeah, that kind of thing can be amazing. Well, I know I was in a brief discussion here a few days ago with someone who works in broadcast news, who was going, they were at the, doing a live at the site of something, and all of a sudden there was a huge noise in the background over that, really took over, and you couldn't hardly hear what they, because they were interviewing someone, and you couldn't hardly hear what they were saying. And that was really the most crucial thing they had. And the person had to run off, so they couldn't have them redo it. And they were going, thinking, oh man, we get back to the studio, there's just not going to be much there. But of course, they're apparently, I would have guessed they're uploading it from the truck or whatever, and got a word back about 10 minutes later. Oh no, I was able to run that through the cleanup and new stuff in Premiere. No, that's fine.
Yeah,
I got him, and they're going, I couldn't hear him. And I was standing there holding the mic out in front of the guy's face, and I couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
And but so it wasn't great sound, because you did have a fair amount of the other noise come through in that case, but it was definitely apparently low enough so that you could hear the guy talking. And at that point, that just saved that shoot.
Yeah. You got to grab that, Miriam?
No. Nope. I'm going, I forgot to turn the ringer off. It was the old, my good friend, potential spam.
Man.
So I had said you should have something ready to share. Do you want to share something?
Yeah, so I can share how that enhanced sound works. Let me share my screen here. Share screen. Okay. Entire screen. we'll definitely want to share audio. All right, so let me get this up here. Where is it? So it's right here. So can you guys see my screen?
Now we can.
Yep.
Okay. So this was just the mic on the camera when we were shooting this interview. You can kind of hear how it sounds.
For about 30 years now, but I can still recall my early pediatric training. And one of the really
so you can hear, it's recording from across the room kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So using the enhanced speech, if I click that on, it should, let's click enhance. So it's going to do its thing here. And something to keep in mind too, that this is an effect. So it's not like processing and creating a new file that lives on your system somewhere. It's literally just an effect inside your effects control. Meaning for audio folks, if you send out your audio to like somebody else that does it in Pro Tools or whatever else, and you use this, it's going to sound just like we heard it when they get it. It's not going to be cleaned up. So you have to use like the render and replace tool to actually create a file. But you can hear now, if I play it back, let's go back a bit.
Development for about 30 years now, but I can still recall my early pediatric training. And one of the really interesting.
So, I mean, that's usable. You can hear the difference, but
fun parts.
If I turn it off.
For about 30.
Let's turn this off.
Years now, but I can still recall my early pediatric training. And one of the really interesting fun parts was being.
So, that's amazing. And you've got this mix amount over here that will allow you to sort of dial it back. So as you're playing it, I can kind of go through it.
Drug development for about 30 years now, but I can still recall my early pediatric training. And one of the really interesting fun parts was being.
You have to kind of find that line right up to where it starts to get a little, it starts to go into the frequency in the voice and gets a little chunky and stuff like that. But you can see, you find that sweet spot.
On our neurology rotations. But that was 30 years.
And that's perfect. So, yeah, this tool is going to be such an awesome addition to Premiere once they get it in there.
Oh, okay. So it is in the beta.
Yeah, it's only in the beta right now. So so if you do have things that you need to do, Neil's suggestion about, having the beta installed, open it up, clean up your audio, create those, like I said, create like a render and replace for the audio file. You can just right click on it, choose render and replace, and that'll actually create a separate audio clip that you can then bring into the 24.0 right now. And then, or if you have an older version, and then you can drop that in and use that. And that's the best way to use it now if you're not going to work entirely in the beta. So pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
One of the other things that I could show you that I think is, going to be a big game changer for me using AI. Let me get rid of this and let's go to the release version of Premiere. Let's see. No, I don't need to save changes. Let's go over here. So this is an interview that we shot for a project, and we were kind of limited in where we could shoot, so we kind of picked this spot. But when we were filming, the client kind of came over to me and said, "Hey, we don't like this white car over the guy's shoulder." And I said, "Well, I think this was after Max and after I got these tools. I said, you know what? I think I can fix that if you want." I said, "What would you like out there?" She goes, "Well, anything other than that." She goes, I said, "Well, how would a nice park sound?" And she said, "Oh yeah." She goes, "Can you do that?" And I said, "I don't know. Let me see." So the workflow is super simple. So you got your still frame here. You create a still frame inside, or you got your frame here. Create a still frame from Premiere. So I'll just create a still from this. I'll just save it to my desktop. Then we're going to go over to Photoshop, which I happen to have open. Let's import that in. You can find it here. I did save it, didn't I? Yes, it's right here. So that's my still frame, and I'm going to unlock it. And then I'm just going to highlight, or I'm going to kind of box around this area. And then I'm going to go up to, let's see, I don't remember where it is here, where my generative fill is. I just forget this. Generative fill. And I'm just going to type in park with trees. Have some nice trees. And then generate. So it'll do its thing. And we'll see how we do here. And you can see over here, it's generating 3 different versions for me. But ultimately, it's going to come up with something. Boom. So.
Oh, wow.
That looks pretty good. I like that. Although that sign might be a little distracting. Ooh.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. We're going to go with that. So then you just have to, now all it's really done is created just a layer.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just going to save this as a Photoshop file. I will just save it to my desktop there for sake of finding it easily. I'll come back into Premiere. Let's just import that in. Let's desktop here. Oh, there it is. And then all I really need is just the individual layers. I just need the park with trees. And then I just drop that on. And I might need to blend it a little bit, in here. So, because yeah, it kind of it's looking a little bit different, but I could probably find a way just to color correct that and with Lumetri or something like that and make it blend a little better. But you can see, and I was careful when we shot this. I play with some brightness and contrast here and see if that. Yeah, there you go.
No one is going to notice the difference, Eric.
You're really engaged in the role.
Huh?
No one's going to notice the difference.
Well, right. They're going to be focused on the person anyway. But seriously, even if they were paying attention to it, it looks great. Very
yeah. I mean, yeah, just a little bit of color correction. It blends completely in. And like I said, I knew, going into it that I had to keep that area sort of free so I kind of told Talent, I told the guy, don't move around too much for me, kind of keep the space open, because I had in my head that I was going to test this workflow out. And, boom, showed it to the client. They're like, that is amazing. And I said, yes, it is. So yeah, I mean, that kind of tool, is just like game-changing stuff. I mean, as long as it reminds me of the old, I'm a big visual effect nerd. But it reminds me of the old matte painting days, of I remember seeing all the Star Wars, behind the scenes in the original trilogy and how they would create these matte paintings and just sort of, put the actors into the matte painting. That's right. Kind of the same principle here,
Very cool. Now, where did you go? Oh my goodness. We lost Eric.
Oh, am I gone?
You're gone.
We hear you. We can't see you.
We hear you, but we can't see you.
Really? Okay, hold on. Let me stop sharing here. I don't know where I went. I'm still here.
No, that's okay.
Your browser has lost connection to your camera. There we go.
You're in a parallel dimension.
Let me click on this. There we go.
You're there.
I'm back. So yeah, I mean that, and the next thing for me is having that functionality inside of Premiere. I don't want to have to go to Photoshop. I want to be able to do all that inside of Premiere. And did Photoshop blur the edges? No, it didn't. So that's why I did a little bit of color correction, just to sort of adjust for it. So no, it didn't. But you could do that. You could go in. I'm not a Photoshop expert, funny enough. I know Premiere like the back of my hand, but Photoshop I'm still I futz around in, and I always amazed when whatever I do works in Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can adjust it to sort of feather the edges, and that will help it blend better. So, but no, that one of the things they showed at Max was the ability to go in and paint out moving video. It's a thing they're working on, where they showed a demo of a guy in a wearing a white shirt with a jacket, and the shirt it was a button down, and it was kind of unbuttoned, no tie, and he walks down these steps and comes out of sunlight into shade. And so what they did is they typed in a generative fill command of add a blue tie, and they just highlighted the area of his shirt, where the jacket was, and it added a tie to it, and it accounted for the sunlight shift, from going from sunlight into shade.
Yeah, that's
and moving with the shirt, and I think they changed the color of the tie and stuff. I mean, that kind of stuff's amazing. And yeah, once we have that kind of functionality inside Premiere, and then the ability to just create, I mean, I don't know about you all, but every once in a while I have to find stock footage of things. Right. It's like, and you spend hours trying to find that one stock footage shot that has all the pieces that you need. I mean, imagine just being able to type in what you need, and then boom, it's there.
Have it create that stock image for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's going to be, I can't even fathom that. I mean, that's going to be just so awesome. And,
maybe not so great for the people that are doing stock, but
right.
On the other hand, nobody's really making a living doing stock anymore.
There was I don't know, probably what about the 2019 Vegas NAB show? One of their speakers was a guy that was talking about stock because he's a big stock producer. And so he made his presentation. These things are about 18 minutes of program, and you get about 3 minutes of questions, and then they move on so that they get ready for the next person, because they start every half hour, right? So one of the questions he gets is someone that wants to know, so you're a big stock guru. Could you share with us about how much a month you're making from stock? Well, most months normally about $200 to $400.
Yeah, right.
And it was a very quiet place, because he talked about, he had 4,000 or 5,000 things out on 4 or 5 different stock sites, and he's getting $200 to $400 a month.
Well, he's doing it for the love, obviously, not for the money.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, whoa, yeah.
It makes him feel good to know that he's.
And that was back then. From what my understanding is, it's just getting harder and harder to make anything off stock.
Yeah. It seemed like a few years ago it was kind of this. I had a friend that was doing it, and he had I don't want to call him an agent, but we'll call him an agent, because I don't know what else to call him, but a guy that would his whole job was to aggregate this out to all the different stock sites, and then he took a cut of whatever was made from it, because he was the one kind of updating it. He did all the keywords and all that kind of stuff. So basically my friend just would upload footage, and this guy would get it on all the stock sites. And yeah, I don't think my buddy ever made a lot of money from it, but yeah, but I don't see those going away. I think there'll always be a need for stock footage sites and things like that. But I think this is going to be for when you need something. Yeah, remember the video that someone made? We got that B-roll, and there's that one line in there where they kind of if you watch, the guy says, I need a X, I need all this stuff, and he goes, no, that's too specific. That's not B-roll, and this is going to be the kind of tool for when you need that specific thing, Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I need a castle with orange painted crenellations.
See, that's not B-roll. That's too specific.
So anything else at Max that stuck out to you?
Let's see. What other things did I see? So there was that. I'm trying to remember now. It seems, Max was like a month away, but it feels like 2 months right now, because it's been kind of crazy. So there was that. There was audio. They did show some other audio stuff there that was kind of amazing, in that it was able to take your voice and then dub your voice into other languages, but still keep the sound of your voice. So
that would be interesting.
Yeah,
I was just heard that Meta is if you are running a political ad, I think it was only with political ads that if you use any AI at all, you have to post a disclaimer. But any rate.
Yeah. I mean, that's the downside to all these wonderful tools, is that the possible misuse.
Right.
I don't know if you remember, but the last Max I went to, which was 2016, like I said earlier, that's where they showed Project Voco. And if you remember what that was, it was basically the ability to sample, I think, like 15 minutes of anybody's voice, and then you could have it say whatever you wanted it to say. And the example that they showed, probably not wisely, but they used President Obama's voice, and they, had him saying things that, from the speech and changing it up. And, that I didn't go over very well at that time.
All you had to do was it put on the screen, it put the, a transcription of what they were saying. And you could just go in and edit that transcription and then play it back. And they were saying whatever it was you edited it. And the whole room, I was at that one, and the whole room was just going. Because first, it was amazing. And the second thing was, it was pretty obvious that, holy, wow, that could be problematic.
Be misused. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's scary.
But the funny thing, though, is thinking back about that moment now, and we look at what we can do now with like deep fakes and other things. It's like, that seems so innocent compared to the craziness that we can do now. It's like, but yeah, the potential for misuse of all these tools is something to keep in mind.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for sharing. And
by the way, Eric, just to make sure you caught that, Christine wanted to know to get put on your mailing list for anything going on with your pug group. So
okay. Yes, I will reach out to Christine and let her know that. I'm going to try to get her to present at some point next year, because she's one of those who knows, like, everything in Premiere. Yeah. So
I was a teaching assistant at a Max where Christine was teaching, and of course, as a TA, you get the PDF file with their presentation ahead of time, so that you can hopefully practice and be able to do stuff on it, which I really needed when I was working, because I also did some TAs for After Effects classes, and my After Effects skills are like your Photoshop skills. I can do a few things in there, but I'm not someone that just goes in there like Mo, our partner, does, and just goes, what? Does all this cool stuff, And but Christine had this thing where she was going to have people make 3 changes in the keyboard shortcuts panel, and then was going to be using those in editing, turn around using them in editing. And I was looking at the other TAs, and we're all going, oh my God, it's going to be a busy day. Oh, I think I may have helped one person that hour and a half class.
Yeah.
And a couple of guys didn't. Christine was such an incredible teacher. She was so aware of what was going on in the room that she'd be looking, and she'd just see the faces start doing something, and she would go back and revisit something she had just said, make sure everybody was brought along. And so not hardly anybody missed up. And she just took the class along with her, and at a tempo that was actually breathtaking. It was kind of fun. But, and another time while she was getting ready for it, I was up there talking with her before class, and she was working away on her laptop, and she's going, I hope you don't mind, but I got to keep working at this job because I've got to get it out by, like this afternoon kind of thing. And so she's talking with me. She's laying string outs on a timeline and is going down and is cutting them and shortening things up and tightening up, throwing some audio stuff back on. Well, she's just sitting there talking with me while her fingers are just going like crazy on this thing. And I'm watching and going, if that was the only thing I was doing, I couldn't have done it anywhere near that fast and precise. And she was talking to me and clearly paying attention. It was like,
yeah.
Well, that's a good
lady's scary.
A good lead into stay tuned, folks. We'll see if we can't get Christine on the show.
Oh yeah,
yep.
that'd be worthwhile.
Thank you. Let's say goodbye, folks.
Bye-bye.
See ya.